Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and today I'm joined by Angel.
Hello.
We're back for some more Guiding Late 1995. Today, we're going to be discussing what happened between May 10th to the 12th, 1995. So I'll roll the credits and we'll get right into it. Okay, so let's just get Tangy out of the way because she really wasn't
Yeah.
in it. She was in it for like a minute. Um, I don't get why all these men allegedly were in love with her.
I don't get it either. And it's mentioned later that Reva broke them up.
Yes.
I don't
um,
get it. What is like she is oh my gosh, if they had the Glittery Hoo Hoo Award in 1995, she would have won it.
So she goes to see Roger and she basically accuses him, thanks him of having something to do with her getting out on bail because he sent that plant that was the hooker that was in there to
Mm-hmm.
talk to her. Um he has them believing that Victor, which is the guy that was after Diana for the money, is
Yeah.
the one responsible for the money being taken.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's a wrap on that story.
Yeah.
Um There was just a scene with, like, Cutter, and I just felt like he still loves her, but, like, the feeling's not mutual.
Yeah. Wasn't there a scene with her and Alan too?
Yeah, because she was, like, returning stuff to him,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "I'm doing, spring cleaning, getting rid of the clutter," and he's like, "Oh, you decided to start with my stuff?" How long was she on the show? I feel like she's dated everybody in town.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like it was like 93 she started, 92, 93.
Okay, so maybe a 2-year deal?
Yeah, cuz like she was cuz I know Robert Newman left and then he came back.
Okay.
Cuz remember later on we'll get to it. Reva mentioned that like he dated Harley
Mhm.
after she died, after Reva died. So and then
Yeah.
I remember hearing that like he breaks up with Harley because he thinks he found a lead for Reva, and that's why him and the kids left, and that like basically set up Robert Newman exiting from the show. But
So
he
let's
comes
just talk
back.
about that since we're talking about
Yeah, he comes back. So yeah, well, yeah. Let's just talk
Let's
about
just talk about
Josh
Josh
and
and
Reva.
Reva. So Josh is still in the cabin at Cross Creek seeing Ghost Reva, who wants to have a relationship. Okay. She disappears and he like starts screaming and throwing
Mhm.
things and like trying to get her to come back. And like I think a neighbor comes by because he's like, "What's all the
Mhm.
ruckus?" And he says he dropped something on his foot. um, so he leaves. She appears. I
Well,
feel like
no, no,
when
no.
she appears, she's
He
like all sexy. She's like
well, no, no. He says, I need to move some things out of the I need to move some things out of Cross Creek, and then he takes I think a lamp or something or a pot or something that's like he takes something that's like important to Riva, and then he's like, "Hey, why don't I get rid of this?" And then that's when she appears.
oh, right. Like, "Hey, I love that lamp."
I love that lamp.
But yeah, so basically, we get a rundown of all the women he tried to move on with after Eva
Mhm.
died. So you mentioned that he left town with the kids to go look for her,
Yeah,
and she mentioned that he went to Europe.
yeah, Europe.
So how do you what? She died in Florida. How do you go to Europe?
The waves, man. Look at them waves. Like, they just pull you
Like,
all the way to Europe.
the sand crystal was supposed to be, like, at the bottom of the ocean.
It's in what do they call it? Oh my gosh, the Bermuda Triangle or Atlantis.
I was like, "But she went off the bridge in Florida.
Florida.
Why would you go to Europe?" Alright. But, yeah, so she mentioned, him and Harley, which I didn't know about.
Yeah, I forget, but I forget that they're good. that they're together until oh man, they were together. Yeah.
I feel like she was like she's a nice girl, but I feel like she was like, "It was a little soon though, like, for you to move on
Yeah.
from me."
And then she wanted to wear mallet, so
Yeah, she said, and then she ended up who with the love of her life, and Harley is currently not on the show, so I guess that's who
yeah.
she's supposed to be with.
Yeah, she's with mallet. She comes back in a few years.
Yeah. Um, so then she also mentions Tangy, and she takes credit for that not working out. So are we supposed to believe that even though he didn't see her, she's just been, like, messing with him? I also didn't know that him and Tangy were a thing. That's why I'm like, did everybody date this girl? And they were
Yeah, that's why it's I brought it up. I was like, why is like I think maybe Tangy was supposed to be the next combination of Reva and Harley, and it didn't work out. Like it fumbled.
were there multiple writing regimes that kept switching at this time that they just didn't know what to do with her?
So I know that there was a team of writers, and some of them are on it now, with Douglas Anderson, that wrote the show between I want to say 91 to about 90 and the 94ish.
Okay.
Um and I don't think it's the fault. I think it's the fault of like, they were basically pushing this character down our throats and was trying to make it work. But everything else on the show was great. Like
It almost feels like they hired her and they were like, "Ooh, we got this name actress, but we
mhm,
don't." They didn't have a story,
they didn't
and
really know what to do with her.
yeah,
Like,
which
and then Roger was a ward of hers, so he's technically not like a lover of hers.
right. I wonder, did they ever like flirt with that idea of having them be romantically involved?
I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they did.
Mm.
Because
I mean,
this is
listen,
Guiding Light.
if daughters and mothers are fighting over the same guy, and
Mhm.
anything could happen. um, so she brings up Annie, and she
Mhm.
actually says she's a nice girl, and I laughed to myself because I was like, "That's probably the only time she'll ever utter those words."
Yeah.
She's a nice girl, but, like, not good enough for you.
Kim Zimmer and Cynthia Watros are, like, close in real life.
Oh, are they? I love
Yeah,
that.
they are. Laura Wright, and, Kim Zimmer Laura Wright, and, Cynthia Watros are very close
Oh, I
in
love
real
that.
life. Yeah, the
That's
3 of them, so particularly I mean, I don't know how close they are now because, like, Laura's in California, and so is Cynthia. Well, obviously
they're on the same show.
Cynthia and, Laura are on the same show, but, I think Kim's still in the East Coast.
Right. Um, so I guess that was pretty much it for them, for Riva and Josh,
Yeah.
'cause it was only 3 episodes, and he
It
was
was like
only
3
in
episodes, yeah, it
I think he was
wasn't
only
yeah.
in the 1 out of the
They
3,
were in the 1 episode.
but it was fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Um,
Wanna get, Eve out of the way?
yeah.
She's gonna kill herself, like, it's happening. I
Eve's
see
Eve's still
everything
dying.
Walter could see.
Um, she's still injecting herself with this serum that she put together after doing all her
Mhm.
research online. She gets caught by Rick injecting herself. He says that he has to tell his father, and I'm like, "Do you? Do you? Because
Yeah.
doctor-patient confidentiality, like, I know it's, like, his wife, but or no, they're not
Well,
married.
fiancé, they're not married.
Fiancé. But I was like, "I don't know if you have to, but okay."
Yeah.
Um, she seems to think, well, something's happening. Her white
Mhm.
blood cells are up or something, I don't know,
Yeah, something like
and
that.
they seem to think that she's not strong enough to do chemo,
Mm.
but if it keeps going up, she would be, and I think she's crediting whatever she's injecting herself with as why she's doing better.
Mhm.
Um, Rick thinks that she's just, like, poisoning herself. He does tell his father. Bill? Yeah, the kid's Bill, right?
Kids Bill, yeah.
He now is, like, hating Matt because of what Dinah filled his head with,
Dinah's
and Michelle doesn't understand why he's had this, like, sudden, like, flip
head
on Matt.
heel turn, yeah.
I also didn't I mean, it could've just been friends having dinner. I didn't know why, Vanessa was cooking dinner at Ed Bauer's house. Like, what's the connection there? Did they used to date?
I'm trying to think of the connection.
Were they married ever?
Ed and Vanessa weren't, but I think because Michelle is technically a Reardon because of Maureen, and then Matt. This is where my mind went. Michelle's technically a Bauer and a Reardon because of Maureen. Maureen's a
Right, which
Reardon
I
originally.
either didn't know or forgot because at first I thought maybe Michelle had a crush on Matt, but then she said he's my cousin, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." But I was like,
Yeah, Michelle
this
is
show though, this
yeah,
show, Tammy and
but
Jonathan."
this is Guiding Lights. So. But that was a later writer, so we'll excuse that.
Okay. But yeah, then I was like, "Oh, okay, she's related to him." But they mentioned that Bill and Michelle have been studying a lot together, so
Hmm.
maybe
They've
she
been
just brought Bill
friends.
there and they
They've been
just
friends
decided to
for a
have
long
dinner?
time.
Okay. I
I
just
mean,
didn't
it
know if
took
there was, like,
years.
some other connection, like they were married at some point, but now they're just good friends.
Yeah.
Um, Annie we finally had, Lillian have her mammogram, but it felt, like, so, like, nonchalant, swept under the rug. Like, I feel like
Yeah, it
we've been
was.
building to this and her not wanting to do it for them to be like, "Oh, it's fine," and that's it. That's the end. I'm like,
Yeah.
"What?"
What?
I'm
Uh-huh.
like, "I'm glad you're okay, but, like, really? All that build up for that?"
Right?
Also, she mentioned she's a nurse. I assumed she was a doctor because I feel like the way she dresses, she looks more like a doctor.
She might be a head nurse.
Okay. Maybe it might just be the white lab coat that I'm just like, "Oh, doctor," but no,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
nurse.
I know I knew she was a nurse because like, I remember, like, from the '80s when, like, she was with, Bradley, her husband and, Beth's stepfather who abused Beth. She was a nurse then too.
Is she Beth's mother?
She's Beth's mother, yeah.
Oh my god, I never knew that.
Beth Raines, yeah. Yeah, her maiden name is Raines, so
Oh,
but she's a
okay.
Spalding now.
I didn't know that. Huh. Alright.
Yeah, I'm surprised she hung around as long as she did, especially since she basically was the reason one of the reasons why Maureen died.
Oh, really?
'Cause, Ed and Lillian had an affair,
Really?
and there were famous scenes done exceptionally well by, Ellen Parker, who played Maureen, where
Mhm.
she said, you're making a suburban joke." And then there was in the cabin when she found out, when she confronted Ed, she was like, "That's not." Oh my gosh, it's like a great scene. But she's like, he was like, "But what about Michelle?" She's like, "Oh, that's not good enough for Michelle. It's sure as hell not good enough for me." And she left, and that's when she died
How did she
in a
die?
car accident. They didn't show it, which I'm
Oh.
surprised they didn't, because sometimes they'll show things, but they didn't show the car accident. They just showed her. They just showed Ed on the road, finding out that Maureen was in the car, and then her in the hospital, and then that's when he signs. I think it was, I forgot who gave him the paper. I forgot who gave him the paper. It might have been Eve or Lillian. If it was Lillian, I would have remembered because that would have been very poetic. But he signs a paper saying like, "Oh, she's an organ donor," and he signs the paper, and that's where Jesse Blue comes in later on.
Oh. Oh, right, you told me that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I know a lot of people were pissed off that they killed
Oh,
that
they
dude.
were. They were. They like she was basically like the heart and soul of the show.
Really?
But she did win an Emmy for that, so I'll give her that. Ellen Parker did, yeah, for the next year, for that year.
Um, so yeah, Ed pretty much, confronts Eve,
Mhm,
and she basically, I guess, convinces him to let her continue what she's doing, even though he doesn't agree with it.
mhm.
I don't know, they hugged, and I felt like that was him giving in to her.
Yeah.
even though he thinks that she could be accelerating her death, which is
Mhm.
probably true.
It probably is. I mean, she doesn't have that
She's got,
long much
like, 2 or 3
longer.
more weeks before she's gone, I feel like.
Yeah.
Um, we didn't see Jilly, did right? We didn't see her.
No, I thought we were gonna see her when in the scene with Roger, but
Oh, we had Matt being protective of Bridget.
yes,
Um, I've retained this guy's name, it's Kirk.
Kirk.
He doesn't understand why Matt's being protective, and he's just, like, being respectful of Bridget, wanting to keep the secret, and he's like, "She has responsibilities," and he thinks he's just talking about running, like, the boarding house.
Mhm.
He's like, "So don't keep her out all night." Um, so I chuckled because Dinah, um who told her to cancel all of Vanessa's appointments?
Mindy, or was
Mindy
it
told
Vanessa? Or
No, it
was it
wasn't
Matt?
Vanessa herself, it was somebody else, maybe it was Mindy.
Mindy or Matt? I know it was one of them.
It was Matt.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Cancel her appointments," and she's like, "Oh, she doesn't have any appointments today. Done." And she's like, "I'm outta here."
It's Wendy Monez's portrayal of Dinah that's just so charming at in the midst of it being, like, terrible, like a terrible person.
So before what happens at the end of the week happened, I had thought I was like, "Oh, wow, I didn't even realize she's basically living with her mother's boyfriend
Yeah.
at the boarding house." I didn't even, like, think about that. Um, he is suspicious, pretty much knows that Dinah's the one that's been filling Matt's head with lies about
Mm,
him.
Bill's head.
Bill's head, sorry. Um, so at the boarding house, she's like, I guess she's the only one home, and she's like
Mhm.
blasting music and just having a great time by herself. And he comes home and has to do work and he like shuts it off and she's like, I like that music. So she decides that she's gonna take a bath slash shower, and he also needs to do that, but she gets dibs. I had a feeling something like this was gonna happen when she
Yeah.
didn't open the door. He opens the door, goes in there with just the towel around him. He looked good with it out of shirt, by the way.
Yeah, he
Um,
did. I could see why Monica cheated on Alan with
I
him.
thought that too. I was like, "Oh my god, I have to watch this episode." Because I was like 7 years sooner, so he was younger
Yes.
also. Um, so he closes the door and I'm like, "That was dumb." And they get locked in there. She tries to get out, the doorknob
Mhm,
comes off on both ends, so now they're stuck in the shower or stuck in the bathroom.
mhm,
And now she's playing all flirty, temptress,
mhm.
and he's like she, like, threatens to take her towel off, and he's like, pretty much like, "Go ahead, I don't care." So she does, and I thought he might look away, but he didn't. He's looking straight at her.
Straight at her.
So now I'm like, "Hmm,
Where do we go from
will
here?
he cheat on Vanessa?"
I don't think
I
so.
don't think in this
I think
moment.
he's
I'm
gonna
like,
I
"But
think
could
he's
this be leading to it?"
I don't think so. I personally think that, like, this is just like him looking at her is just like a way to cap a cliffhanger because it was
Yeah,
a Friday episode, so
it was. It's like they're playing chicken with each other, like,
mhm,
who's gonna, like, break first.
mhm.
Um, he's like, "Turn the water off, the bath is full." She's like, "I'm taking a bath and a shower." She's like, "It's very continental." I was like, "What?"
How do you do that?
I'm like, "Eventually the tub's gonna overflow, so
Yeah, well,
what?"
the tub's gonna overflow, first of all. Second of all, the way that my shower and bath works, you can either do one or the other. Unless you
You
fill the
can't pull the drain you
bathtub
can't pull the
first.
drain thing up so that the shower's running and filling up the tub?
No, because when you pull it up, the water from the faucet
Right.
disappears and goes up into the shower and squirts out. Unless you fill the tub first and
Put the
pull
shower on?
then put the
Maybe.
shower on.
I don't know. It
I
sounds
don't know.
stupid, whatever it
It
is.
does sound stupid. It does.
Um, so yeah, that was basically the cliffhanger for them.
Mhm.
Um, Poor Lucy, she's still dealing with her trauma.
Yeah.
I'm so nervous every time I see Brett. He's freaking me out.
Yeah, it's like the horse in Young Frankenstein. Yay! When you say Brett, the horse just starts neighing.
She's with Alan Michael, who's trying to, like, help her through this.
Mhm.
I think they're on a yacht. Is that what
Eh,
they're where they are?
I think that's what I think. I didn't put any stock into where they were at. I just knew they weren't at Spalding.
Which is completely empty. The phones are ringing off the hook. Nobody's there
Yep.
working to, like, answer
Mhm.
the phones. Alan and,
Alex.
Alex show up, and they decide to this is a great opportunity to, like, take the company back.
Yeah.
Nobody's there. Um, Playing basically into Brett's whole story that Alan is,
Mhm.
like, taking down the company. Alan Michael's taking down the company.
Mhm.
Um, so at one point, Lucy's having a nightmare that Brett got on the boat, and I was like, "Is
Mhm.
this real? Is it" like, it was freaking me out because I was like,
Yeah, it was
"How"
freaking me out too.
I I was like, "Is this really happening?" Every time he's in a scene with her, I'm like, "Oh, no, it's gonna happen again, it's gonna happen again."
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Ugh, but thank God it was a nightmare,
Yeah.
because I really wasn't sure. I was like, "They're not gonna get me, they're not gonna" and they got me.
Mhm.
Um, but now we also see Brett buying a gun.
Mm.
The serial number is scratched off,
Mm.
so it's like an illegal gun, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm really nervous.
Yeah.
We're also in May sweeps, so I feel like something big's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, was there anything big that I missed with that story?
No, I don't think we covered everything.
Alan Michael and her, like, they're playing board games, and he's just trying to take
Yeah.
her mind off of it, and he doesn't care about work, obviously. Um, but yeah, Bridget didn't really do anything. She was just kind of fluttering around.
Yeah.
We didn't see Jilly or David or Sid.
No. Or Sid.
Um, yeah, I enjoy these episodes. I enjoy every episode.
Yeah,
It's
me
very
too.
interesting. Was there anything else you wanted to add before we go?
Um, I know that there were some promos. There was a Weird As the World Turns one that I missed. I mean, I didn't miss it, but like I was just like, "What the heck is this?" And I was like, I'll go back and watch it," but I never did. So
There was a weird promo that didn't really show scenes, but it was basically saying, like, if you want to get all hot and bothered, watch Young and the Restless and the Bold and the Beautiful.
yeah, I like that one.
I don't remember seeing that as the World Turns one.
Yeah, maybe it was in the last set, and I didn't.
Oh, I do because at first I was like, "What show is this?" Because I was like, "Ooh, I want to see that." um, yeah, there was like no. Last time I think there was like a Sheila and James Warwick
Yeah.
one. I didn't see any of that. But all right, I guess if you don't have anything else to add,
Nope.
well, thank you for joining us for another edition of Guiding Light 1995. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great day. Bye.
Bye.